Welcome back to High Impact Flicks. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflicks.com, and visit my backup channel called Here's the Deal and Grease Monkey Videos. Those links will be in the description below. Now let's get into Kyle's Law in Oklahoma. Hey guys, study after study shows that if you want strong bones and muscles, healthy hair, skin, teeth, and nails, you need the 5 types of collagen in your diet. I get mine from BioTrust. I've got a link in the description with a massive discount, and it'll tell you all about it. Oklahoma wants to make a new law named after Kyle Rittenhouse. And I've met this guy, Nathan Dom. Me and one of my youngest daughters went to a gun rally in 2012 and met this guy, and he seemed like he was that's when I was into politics. He seemed like he was somebody who wanted to change the system from inside. We've since learned that that's just not the way the system works. Yeah, they'll throw you a bone every once in a while. They'll let a crumb drop from their table just to string you along. The legislation would ensure that Oklahomans who use self-defense won't have to face trial for political reasons. How will they ensure that, is my question. I'm going to play this and then we'll read this little article right here. It is interesting. It is interesting, but think about it. The more laws they make, the less freedoms we have. If the right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects isn't going to be enough, then we need to stop saying that the supreme law of the land is the Constitution of the United States, which includes the Bill of Rights, which one of those rights is the Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects. So listen to
Oklahoma
this.
senator filing a bill in the wake of the Rittenhouse trial. Senator Nathan Dom's Kyle's Law says a person who is charged with murder but found not guilty due to justifiable homicide, the state would have to reimburse that individual for all reasonable costs. Also, that bill says that in order to claim malicious prosecution, the claimant has to establish the prosecution was without probable cause.
It just seems subjective to me. It says the legislation would ensure that Oklahomans who use self-defense won't have to face trial for political reasons. And then it says if the measure became law, Dom says victims of malicious prosecution, because we heard a lot about prosecutorial misconduct, would be able to receive compensation for expenses and damages. The bill number is 1120. It's called Kyle's Law. A jury recently acquitted Rittenhouse, and based on that, this is why Dom brought this bill to the House. Kyle Rittenhouse should have never been charged. The video evidence from early on showed it was a lawful self-defense, said Dom. It's our duty to protect the rights of the people that we represent, and the right to self-defense is paramount. I totally agree. If you don't have the right to self-defense in a society, then you have automatically an unjust society. The bill would ensure that what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse cannot happen to the people of Oklahoma. I mean, it does sound good, but how are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove that there was prosecutorial misconduct? How long are you going to have to wait to be compensated if you do get unjustly charged? The measure said that if a person is charged with murder but is found not guilty due to justifiable homicide, in other words, you defended yourself and it was just, it was right, it was appropriate, there was really pretty much nothing else you could do, you were being attacked, Oklahoma would have to reimburse the defendant for all reasonable costs, including loss of wages, legal fees, and other expenses involved in their defense. And even if that does happen to you, if your name is plastered all over the paper, your reputation basically gets ruined. That's all people are going to remember is the bad stuff. It's like, oh, you were that guy. Okay, we're not going to hire you. There's no way you could pay back the time that was taken from you, the job that you lost or jobs that you lost or future earnings that you could have made. If the homicide is determined to be justified and the self-defense proves that they sustained injury due to malicious prosecution, the proposed bill says the person will be awarded, quote, fair and just compensation. Who's going to determine that? Who's going to determine what fair and just compensation is for you? The bill also states that to claim malicious prosecution, the claimant must prove that the prosecution was instituted or instigated by the prosecutor and was without probable cause. That's going to be real difficult. The prosecution had legally and finally been terminated in favor of the claimant, and the claimant sustained an injury because of the criminal prosecution. That's going to be hard. In my opinion, that's going to be real hard. Malice can be established if the motive for the prosecution was something other than wanting to bring the offender to justice, or that it's almost like you're determining motive of the prosecution, which in the case of Thomas the Finger Binger, who pointed an AR-15 at the jury with his finger on the trigger, no less, after he did not clear the chamber himself. He just trusted that somebody else did it. It seems like prosecutorial misconduct would be pretty easy to prove if it's that kind of case right there. But I'm not so sure that all prosecutorial misconduct cases would be that cut and dry, or that it was one ill will or hatred, or willfully done in a wanton or oppressive manner and in conscious disregard for the claimant's rights, according to the news release. Under the legislation, the bill says a prosecutor may be held personally liable. See, now we're getting somewhere. It's almost like the prosecution would have, let's say there was prosecutorial misconduct and the prosecutor was being malicious against you. And for him, it wasn't about seeking out and ferreting out what was true and bringing the truth to the top and letting justice prevail. Let's say if he was after you for some reason. Maybe there's a big promotion in this thing for him if he wins just one more case. Let's say that was the case. The state shouldn't be made to pay for the bad decisions of the court. The prosecutor should. In a sense, prosecutors have qualified immunity, the same kind of qualified immunity enjoyed by law enforcement agents all across the nation. Under the legislation, the bill says a prosecutor may be held personally, I would say will be held personally liable to a claimant if malicious prosecution was established. That would cause them to be just a little bit more careful before they entered that court case. Maybe they would think twice as a lying lawyer and go, you know what? This ain't going to be worth it for me. If I go after this person right here and it's discovered that I'm, involved in a malicious prosecution or prosecutorial misconduct, I don't want this thing to cost me and my family for the rest of my life. I think I'll stop now while I'm behind. While we have time and it still retains some of its perceived value, maybe it'd be a good idea to convert your worthless fiat into valuable, storable food. Don't be the one who waits till the food riots start happening. You don't want to be fighting panicking people in the store over that last jar of peanut butter. At Prepare with High Impact Flicks, you can get up to 3 air and watertight gasket sealed ammo cans, each filled with a 4-week emergency supply. 7 food varieties, 2,000 calories a day, 284 servings, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and each meal comes in a resealable, heavy-duty 4-layered pouch. And it's got a 25-year shelf life. Every order of a 4-week supply gets you $100 off plus free shipping. Here's how simple it is to make. I'm going to cook up some Granny's home-style potato soup. People are going to think I'm a culinary hero. You open the pouch, boil 4.5 cups of water, stir the contents, simmer on low heat for 15 to 20 minutes, take it off the heat, then let it set for 2 to 3 minutes before you serve it up.
Man, this stuff's so good. People are going to think Granny stopped by and filled your kitchen with a whole bunch of love.
Well, if Granny does stop by, she's going to fill your behind with a whole bunch of buckshot if you keep talking with your mouth full. Wipe your dang beard off. It's embarrassing. So maybe convert some of your worthless fiat into valuable food while you still can. Order now and get $100 off of up to 3 4-week emergency food supplies at preparewithhighimpactflix.com. The link is in the description.